So my name is Aaliyah Newswanger, and it is so great to be here to celebrate Nolan's life. I want to thank all of you for letting me and my awesome family join you today and letting me share my story. As a healthy 14-year-old, I was very naive about a lot of things, but especially cancer. It was February 2021 when I noticed a large bump in my neck. I had almost no symptoms, just that and some night sweats. I got checked out at my family doctor, and he said it was nothing to worry about and put me on antibiotics. They would work, right? They didn't. Eventually, it was recommended I go to Penn State Health Children's Hospital. After several long hospital visits of just sitting there for hours, I was scheduled surgery to remove my enlarged lymph node. But again, there was nothing to worry about. However, the results were worse than I thought would be possible. I had Hodgkin's lymphoma, a type of cancer that develops in the lymph system. They sent it off to be tested, expecting it to have been caught very early. Needless to say, we were in absolute shock when they called to inform us it was stage 4B. The worst. I was devastated. At Warwick High School, my health teacher always said, life is a series of choices. While having cancer was never a choice, I had no idea how right he would be. In a situation where I felt everything was out of my control, it turned out that I still had several choices to make, none that anybody should ever have to make. The first decision I had was to what treatment plan would work better for me. A, an intensive chemotherapy that would destroy my reproductive system, but better my chances of living cancer-free, or B, a less intensive chemotherapy treatment followed with radiation that will spare my reproductive system, but might increase my possibility of cancer returning. This was the hardest decision to quickly decide who I will be and what I might want when that time comes. Knowing the risks, I chose the latter. In this game of roulette, where the stakes were my life, the choice was huge. So that March, I started chemotherapy. I completed 5 cycles, each one being 3 weeks. 2 weeks on, 1 week off, and repeat. My body responded surprisingly well. I had a Mediport implanted into the right side of my chest, which made treatments easier to access and receive. As with every cancer experience, there are ups and downs during the treatments. An example of a good moment was when I was in the hospital and I had the most amazing chicken noodle soup I have ever tasted. You guys should have tried it, it was awesome. After that, I was just cruising along until we hit our first downhill. I developed a fever and I had to go to the ER in Hershey. I had no idea that once inside, I wouldn't walk outside for another 11 days. I had an infection around my Mediport, and they had to remove it and try it again on the other side of my chest. While I was admitted, I made new friends. Yes, these friends were different than others, because they were mostly just middle-aged nurses and an IV boy named Fred that went with me everywhere. But I digress. Humor became my medicine. It was in the hospital, and my then pink hair started falling out in clumps. I panicked, and a flood of emotions came over me. Who will I be without hair? Could anyone love me without hair? It was so important to me as a high school girl. Look around my high school. Self-image is everything. Girls all pride themselves on long, often straight, beautiful hair. You don't see many girls with short hair, and you almost never see them bald. My hair was my strongest source of confidence, and I was about to lose it. I'd been bullied in middle school, and now I would get bullied again. A nurse said to me at some point, "At this point, Aaliyah, some people may choose to take control of the situation and shave their head, rather than losing it little by little." After thinking, my mom shaved my head for me. I was afraid to look in the mirror, but when I did, and when I grew used to it, I learned things about myself I never would have known. That my head wasn't as oddly shaped as almost everyone fears. That I have a birthmark on the side of my head that my great-grandpa also has. I can rock a wig, but I really didn't need to. And I finally understood how my dad probably feels about the bald spot on his head. I was his BSB, bald spot buddy. P.S. The club has an opening right now if anyone would like to apply. Ask John. Sorry, Dad. How are you? Upon finishing the chemo treatments, I nervously went in for a PET scan to determine how my body responded to chemo and if they're ready to begin radiation treatments. My body responded so well to the chemo that the radiation wasn't even needed. I was officially cancer-free. There were trace amounts of cancer that the leftover chemo would continue fighting. I got to ring the end of the treatment bill, and now people look at me and have no idea that I have cancer. I've been in remission for over a year. Woo! Now I just go for follow-up treatments every 3 months, and oddly, I actually love going to the hospital to get to see all my favorite nurses and get Starbucks. No one gets through cancer alone. For me, I got through it with the support of my family and my friends who never left my side. I got through it with the help of 4 Diamonds. They covered anything not covered by insurance, and my parents never received a bill for my care. They provided gas cards, and our social worker, Greg, made sure what we knew was there to support us all along the way. I got through it with the help of everyone in this room. These past years that you have been organizing events, making phone calls to ask for support for your foundation, and kids like me gathering auction items tirelessly, contributing your own dollars, those dollars helped me. The dollars you've raised today are helping a family in the hospital making tough decisions right now. And next year, one of them will be standing in this very spot, sharing how their world was flipped upside down, and your support got them the opportunity to come out on the other side. It didn't take long after cancer for me to want to share my story. I was inspired by 2 separate occasions. The first was speaking at Warwick High School's mini-thon. I was so nervous to tell my story, worried about how my peers would respond after it was over. Many came up and thanked me and told me how proud they were of me, but mostly, I will never forget looking in the front row at the other cancer families in attendance, some with young kids going through cancer, looking at me with admiration. The second time was meeting an author who wrote a book about her journey, and I read and loved it. Meeting her inspired me to want to write again, and it is my hope to be published one day. These events made me realize my growing passion and that I want to use my voice to let others know they are not alone. Life is a matter of choices. You had no choice in losing Nolan, but you made each choice to take that loss and celebrate that he lived. Nolan's spirit is in everything around me, in the generosity of this community, in the heart of my school's mini-thon, and in this room today. Thank you for all you do for the kids.